During Josh Duggar's scandal, Jinger Duggar talks about her family's struggles. Greetings from my channel. Prior to the video beginning, kindly click the subscribe button and like this video. Jinger Duggar talks openly and passionately about the big impact her brother had on her. Josh Duggar's actions have significantly affected their family. Once associated with faith and a picture-perfect life, the Duggar name seemed to change when Josh's legal issues and past transgressions marred an otherwise positive story about a large, close-knit family. Jinger talks candidly about her family's emotional journey from shock and bewilderment to healing as Josh's family began to come apart and the public's focus switched to his darkest times. Her remarks provide a rare window into the struggles and triumphs people have faced in the wake of these incidents. We learn how this once perfect family has handled the terrible truths of betrayal and loss in this painful conversation, and we speculate about what is ahead for them as they travel this difficult path. As she reflects on the value of forgiveness, the difficult process of understanding her brother's actions, and the road to redemption, Jinger's journey revolves on her family's love and faith. Jinger describes her own path of recovery and advancement despite the challenges they continue to face. Join us as we share this heartwarming story of a family triumphing against hardship. Jinger's insights on the Duggar family's attempts to get over the grief brought on by Josh's disgrace may provide comfort to anybody going through a difficult moment. The Duggar family is followed in this heartwarming documentary as they work to comprehend, forgive, and find peace after a devastating incident. Once praised for their huge, loving family life and strong Christian convictions, the Duggar family rose to national fame as a result of the TLC reality program 19 Kids and Counting. But that all changed in 2015 when Josh, the oldest son, was the subject of grave charges. These allegations brought Josh's private life into the public eye and revealed the ugliest parts of his background. For Josh Duggar and his family, his tale has been an emotional roller coaster. As more information about his background became available, he eventually admitted to acting inappropriately as a teenager. Their TV program was canceled as a result of the public outcry. Joe's arrest in 2021 on suspicion of possessing child pornography made matters worse. Later on, he was found guilty and given a federal jail term. This court battle is one of the most difficult chapters for the Duggar family because of Josh's actions during this difficult time, which have damaged their reputation for morally upright living. Digby Jinger, Josh's younger sister, has gradually discovered her voice and is speaking up about the matter, despite the Duggar family's custom of keeping quiet about delicate subjects. Jinger recently spoke about how Josh's circumstances have affected her family and their values. Beside her, she recently spoke candidly about the emotional toll her brother's actions had on her family and how she had accepted the gravity of the situation in an interview. Taking part in the interview, Jinger recognized the grief and worry that the revelations about Josh had brought. It was difficult for everyone since the family's reputation had been built on faith, trust, and family cohesion. It's hard to come to terms with it for many of us, Jinger stated in reference to a loved one's actions. Josh was totally out of our level, and none of his choices made sense. Her words reflected the profound disappointment and anguish that had marked the family's internal strife ever since Jinger's charges were made public. It has been difficult to reconcile Josh's behavior with the brother I thought I had. The path to understanding was a convoluted and drawn-out one rather than one of instant acceptance or rationalization. Jinger acknowledged that she had been impacted by her reflections, but she also acknowledged that it had been difficult to comprehend his behavior at times and that she had struggled to come to know the guy he is today. She continued by talking about the great need for healing in both her family and herself, not merely expressing her sadness or disappointment. Despite the seriousness of the situation, Jinger's statements express a deep sense of empathy and faith. She emphasized the significance of responsibility and redemption, which we need to consider. In my opinion, healing entails confronting the reality of what transpired, even if it is difficult. Acknowledging the damage done to our family and others is essential. As Christians, we cling to the promise of redemption, which in no way absolves Josh of his crimes, even while we acknowledge the seriousness of the situation and the far-reaching consequences of his actions. As Jinger said, the value of forgiveness in our family does not imply that we should ignore the suffering that has been inflicted, she underlined. Although forgiveness plays a significant role in our faith, it does not allow us to pretend that nothing has happened. Living under continual public scrutiny has taken a toll on the Duggar family's emotions. Their every action has been scrutinized by the public and media, which has increased the strain and challenges. Many Duggar family supporters have remained loyal to them in spite of this. The goal of forgiveness is to mend and move on while honoring the harm that was done. It's not easy, but it's part of our journey as a family, Jinger added. The family's handling of the matter has also drawn harsh criticism, particularly for their first public defense of Josh. But Jenga has remained steadfast in her conviction that confronting the issue head-on is necessary to proceed. We must face reality, find methods to learn from it, and bear the suffering. We cannot ignore it or pretend that everything is okay when it isn't. Even though it may take a while, I think our family can become better. However, healing can only occur when we own up to our mistakes and are truthful about what has transpired. When doing the interview, Jinger has maintained her emphasis on the significance of moving on as a family and as individuals, despite the terrible nature of the scandal's public aspect. Despite the fact that what occurred has touched us all, we are all looking for a means to go on. I think I can recover, even if it won't be simple or fast. The secret is to proceed cautiously. Jinger said her thoughts on Josh's behavior and how it affected her family were heartfelt and very personal. She admitted that the last 3 years had been very challenging for the Duggar family, but she also managed to deliver a message of optimism and fortitude. Even when it involves facing challenging and traumatic family issues, Jinger Duggar Vuolo has never been afraid to speak her mind. Jinger has emerged as one of the Duggar family's more vocal members in recent years, especially on her upbringing and changing religious beliefs. As she talks candidly about the incident involving her elder brother, Josh Duggar, and its effects on her family, she is now making headlines once again. Notwithstanding the issues that have surrounded them, the Duggar family has for years projected an image of togetherness and steadfast faith. But that reputation started to deteriorate when Josh Duggar's legal issues were revealed. Jinger, who has now abandoned her family's rigid upbringing and adopted a more sophisticated Christian faith, recently offered her opinions on how her family has handled these trying times. Jinger spoke about the tremendous anguish and heartache she had after discovering Josh's behavior in an emotional interview. "It was devastating," she said. "When a family experiences something like this, everything is rocked. It compels you to reconsider your beliefs and position." Her remarks conveyed the weight of someone who has spent years dealing with the aftermath of such a disaster, even if she avoided providing specific details. Over the last several years, Jinger has undergone a makeover. Raised in the ultra-conservative Duggar family, she was a young child who followed the rigid theological doctrine of the Institute of Basic Life Principles, IBLP, a movement headed by Bill Gothard. But when she became an adult and wed Jeremy Vuolo, she started to doubt a lot of the lessons she had been taught. Jinger wrote about her transformation from what she called fear-based religion to a faith centered on grace rather than strict restrictions in her book, Becoming Free Indeed. Jinger said that her reevaluation of religion and familial commitment was influenced by the Josh Duggar incident. "It was incredibly difficult to come to terms with the fact that someone you love and trust could do something so horrible," she said. "But at the same time, it made me realize that true faith is not about blindly following traditions, but about seeking the truth and holding people accountable." The Duggar family has a long history of prioritizing devotion and maintaining secrecy. However, the stress on those familial relationships has never been more apparent since Josh's arrest and sentencing. Jinger said that the circumstance has caused friction amongst her siblings, especially as they struggle with divergent opinions and viewpoints over how to respond to the issue. Jinger clarified, "I still love my family dearly. However, I've had to establish limits. I no longer agree with some things, which has required some difficult talks." Although she is still close to a number of her siblings, such as Johannah and Jessiah, it is evident that her views on justice and responsibility have caused some rift with other family members who could still be hesitant to speak out about Josh's transgressions.